Hi everyone, it's Jennifer here from Parent to Parent, Parenting Unfiltered, and it's lovely to have your company and to know that you're here watching this quick video. And it also suggests that your interest in that magic word no. And I'm going to talk today about the power of the value-based no. Um, have you ever noticed how hard it is to say no to our kids? It's not because you don't want to set boundaries, but because you're afraid of the fallout. Now, I've been here, I've done that, and I can really relate to the fallout. Shopping centres, children throwing themselves on the floor, feeling a bit embarrassed, mums and other people watching. It's not good. The arguments and the slammed doors and the silent treatment as they get older as well, when they get into their teens. It is a parent's worst nightmare on some levels, depending on where you are. You can actually feel yourself cringing sometimes and just feeling like it's just getting a bit too difficult, can't you? We want to protect our kids, but we also want to have some peace in there, don't we? So how about we reframe what we are doing and come at it from a slightly different angle? What if the rejection wasn't control or fear, but a reflection of what really truly matters to us as a family and our moral codes and our ethics and the dynamics that we want to create? Now, this is what we call a value-based no, because it isn't about control. It's about clarity. It's about why are we saying no to our child? And it's not about negotiating or anything either. It's about clarity. And it's about saying, this is who we are as a family, and this is what we stand for. So when boundaries come from values and not rules, not for the sake of just a rule, they do start to make sense to our kids. And if we do start it reasonably early, then it becomes something that they understand. When you say no, they'll understand why we're saying no, and it's not just for the sake of saying no and being mean. For example, let's think about perhaps one of our kids who's at high school and they've been invited to a friend's place for a party, and you ask them, is there going to be any parents there? And they go, no. And you might say, and most parents would, well, no, you can't go to that party. And of course, then we're going to get the looks and the mums and the, oh, God, don't you trust me? Don't you think I'm old enough to be able to deal with anything? But in your head, you're going, I'm saying no because I love you and I want to protect you. And your safety matters more to me than you fitting in with the crowd. So that's the way that we can think about it, because we all know that if kids go to a party with adults, there can be all sorts of things that happen that are completely out of your child's control and definitely out of yours. So if the no is, I'm saying no because I love you, and I'm saying no because I don't feel that it's a safe space for you to be at your age without any adults. And I'm also saying no because there is more to this than just saying no, because I'm not wanting you to not have fun, but it matters to me that your safety is my priority. And in this instance, I don't feel that there's enough adult supervision for you to be in a safe space. Now, it doesn't mean to say you're not going to get throwback from this, because you'll still get the sulks and you'll still get the, all that kind of stuff. But it's about putting in the reasons why we're saying it from the right angle. What about another one? No phones at dinner. I have a real problem with phones at the table at dinner time. In actual fact, anywhere. I really find it distressing when I go out and I see people sitting down sharing food, when in actual fact they're not sharing food. They've got food on the table, and I've seen it at high-end restaurants even, and both people have got their phones out and they're looking at their phones and they're eating, but there's no interaction going on. What's that? But in the home, hello, let's really start thinking about connecting, talking to our kids. And this is another one of those value-based no's. No phone at the dinner table. Now, there can be a little basket in the kitchen where they can put the phones, and they've all got to be on silent. But it becomes no phones at the dinner table becomes because I value our family time. And this is how we stay connected. Now, you're going to get pushback on it. But if you do it each time you sit down to dinner, sooner or later, the penny's going to drop and there won't be the same pushback, because it will be, oh, this is what's expected of us in our family. This is a time that we connect. This is a time when we sit down together and we talk about the day or any other thing that comes along. And this is how we connect with our kids as well. And I think this is really important from a very young age with our children too. Even when they're toddlers and they're sitting in their high chair and you sit down with them, put the phone somewhere else and be connected with that little person. Teach them from the word go that mealtime is connection time, that it's important time, that it is actually something that you value as a family. It's not actually hard to do, but you've got to stay consistent. Another one is, no, don't you speak to me like that. That sounds really bad, but it can become, because respect goes both ways, and I want us to learn how to do this together. So, no, you can't speak to me like that, because respect goes both ways, John, and I want us to learn how to do this together. So I will not speak to you in a way that disrespects you, and I don't expect you to talk to me in a way that disrespects me. So let's learn how to do this. And the reason why we have value-added no's is because it actually does work. Yeah? When your teen understands that no isn't just a random no for the sake of no, that it's rooted in love, safety, respect, and integrity. And this is something that's really important for our children to learn as well. Apart from respect and safety, integrity is really important. They will start to see it differently. Not as a rule enforcer. You're not going to become that no person and the other parent's the yes person. You're both going to become the keepers of the family compass, the keepers of the family connection codes, the way that you hold the dynamics together as a family, that you care about each other and you are connected. And here's the beautiful part, that once they actually learn how this works, they start to internalize it and they get the same values. So if it's done right through the time that you have your children, meal times become that time when you sit down and you connect. And I can tell you, it's the most wonderful thing. They come out with all sorts of things, and you do discuss all sorts of wonderful things together. And they also see you connecting with your other children. They see you connecting with other people. And it's little things like, love, would you pass me the sugar? Or love, would you pass me the salt and pepper? And it's the way that you do those nice things for each other around the table that they start to see the love, and they start to see the respect, and they start to see the connection and the value in having time out from the world in your own home around the meal table. And when you have your grandparents over, how you interact with them. Can you pass me the plate of potatoes, please, Nan? Sure, Nan, here it is. They're not distracted by anything else. And they learn how to value these important things. Your value-based no plants a seed for their own decision-making in the future. And it's really important that they know how to do this. How they choose their friends. This is how they learn. Are the friends that I'm mucking around with, do they do stuff that my mum and dad would approve of, or even that I approve of? Do they say things that are respectful? Do they treat people with respect? How do they do that if they don't know how or what it looks like? And this is how they also understand how to handle peer pressure too. Oh, come on, mate, you're such a sook. Why don't you come? Your parents don't have to know. But inside they're going, that's actually not what I'm here saying no to. I'm saying no to the fact that I choose not to go because I don't feel that it's good for me and it's not feeling safe. So I'm going to say no. So this is why it works. Now they're going to resist, but one day they will draw strength from the boundaries that you've held. But the trick here, mums and dads and parent givers, is that you've got to be consistent and you've got to hold the line. You can't give in, because once you give in, you've got to start all over again. And that's where that respect factor stops too, because I think, oh, they give in when they're tired, or they give in when they're fed up, or they give in because they just can't be bothered. And then it's like, oh, look, I'll just push their buttons until they give in again. And we all know that works. Okay, so how do we put this into practice? So the moment you feel you're going to go into conflict, pause and ask yourself, what value is at stake here? What is one of the values at stake here that you think is very important? Is it safety? Is it respect? What lesson is it that I'm trying to teach them if I say yes? So if you say yes and you know it's not safe, what's the lesson that you're teaching them? You're teaching them that you're not actually caring about their safety. So let's think about this. What value is at stake here? What lesson am I teaching if I say yes? It's really important to know. And what lesson am I reinforcing if I say no? So the lesson that you'll be reinforcing is your love, your care for them, your understanding that you're the adult and there are times when you've got to do these things and set the boundaries for their own safety. But then you've got to speak it from the truth. And you'll find that you'll change the way you say things. You won't be so anxious because you're not waiting for that big blow up. You won't be defensive. You'll have a lot more confidence. And that's really important, that you know that you're coming from a really good grounded space that is important for your children, for you as a parent, and for the whole family. Your no becomes a steady, calm, and deeply sensed purpose. I'm not saying that they're not going to argue with you. Please don't think that for a minute, because whenever we get told, we always want to argue because we really do want to do what we're not allowed to be doing, don't we? And if you think about yourself as a child and as an adult, you're going to do that. But if you know that your parent is more than likely going to say no, because you've learned over the years what the values are and what the safety mechanisms that have been put in place around you as your parents, then you half know you're going to get the no anyway. So you're not going to push back on it so much. You might still make the noise and the mutter and go to your room, but you're inside, your child's going, yeah, they're right. Yeah, I probably shouldn't be going. And really, I don't really want to go anyway because, yeah, I don't think it's going to be a good thing anyway. So they'll start thinking all those sorts of things for themselves. Okay, so one final thought on this. It isn't about always getting the decision right, but it is about standing firm on your values while you are having your heart open, that it's soft, that it's not just for the sake of no and just being the authoritarian, because that's how we get rebellion. When the kid just gets constant no for no reason at all, you're going to get a rebellious child. Now, I'm not suggesting either that you try and negotiate with a 2-year-old around this, because that's crazy. You just say no and you let it be. And even with a 4 or a 5 or a 6-year-old or older, you just go, no, I have said no, and I've said why I've said no, and you walk away. You don't buy into the conversation of trying to justify what you're doing. You just gently walk away and you carry on with something else. And you let the child be with that moment and with that thought, and with the training that you've given them and with the guidance, they will slowly learn to understand that. They might not like it, but they'll understand it. Because a value-based no is not a boundary. It's a bridge. It's a bridge between, I feel I'm going to say no because that thing that you're asking me to agree to is going to put you in danger, or it's going to put you in a situation where you're with people that I don't know and I don't know what's going to happen, and I love you and I want you to be safe. That's a bridge. You're building a bridge to a deeper connection as to the why. And the why is because you love them. And it does make a big difference, because knowing that they're loved and that the no is valid is the reason how you connect. And they carry that forward with them and they make their decisions around these things too. They question why they might answer yes instead of thinking, I'm just going to go and do it anyway, because they won't. They'll go, is this something I actually really want to do? Are these the people I really want to spend time with? Am I going to be in a situation where I'm going to be exposed to things that just aren't the sort of thing that I want to be exposed to? or that my parents would be disappointed if I did do that. And that's the starting of the reasoning and the understanding so that they can move forward making good decisions for themselves. But if we don't teach these things, parents, our kids aren't going to know them. And that's a really, really important part of the process of being a parent, is that the reason that we do things is out of love, and that there is room in there for a little bit of negotiation, particularly with your teenager. You can actually go further into what it is that they are wanting to do. If they're going to a party and there's no adults there, you can start questioning other things in there. And if you still feel that that's not a safe option for your child, then you can just reiterate why it is that you're saying no. So I'm hoping you understand that a little bit better, that you give it some thought, and that you go back and think about what it is that's paramountly important in your family. What are the family values? What are the things that you hold very near and that make your family unique and make your family close? Or if the family isn't close, perhaps it's because these sorts of things haven't been put into place and people are feeling disconnected. This is a way to connect, and it's a way to build the understanding that respect doesn't just happen. It actually is a process. But if you don't respect yourself and the values that you hold close to yourself, your children are not going to either. And in that, doing that, they're not going to respect you as well. And this is what this is about. It's not about just being mean or the big grown up and saying no for the sake of it. It's being loving and kind, open-hearted and considerate. So next time you are in a space where your child is asking you to do something or wants to do something and you feel very strongly that that's got to be a no, take a deep breath and think about what it is that you're going to be saying no to, and then practice the power of the value-based no. Hope that you've enjoyed this, and I look forward to speaking to you about a topic again on another video. So see you soon. Bye, parents, and keep parenting.